Welcome back, Dolphins fans. We are coming off of the first win of the season, and man, I mean, there was a lot of good, there was some bad, but there was a lot of good plays. Um, just watching the final play and making sure that they don't do anything crazy. Bam! All right. Um, yeah, sorry. Watching the end of the game. The good is that Miami kind of found their rhythm a little bit. Bad news is obviously, as everybody kind of looked to hearing, is that Tyreek Hill dislocated his knee, so I think he's not going to be playing for a little bit. But we'll go over the stats before we get into all of that. Just kind of sucks that Tyreek Hill is probably going to be gone for most, if not the rest of the season. Tua, 17 for 25, 177 and 2 touchdowns. Devon Achane, 20 for 99 and a touchdown. Ollie Gordon, 6 for 10. And then Malik Washington and Tua had that run that scared the crap out of all of us. Tyreek Hill, 6 for 67. Talk about that in a second. Jalen Waddle, 3 for 48. Darren Waller, 3 for 27 and 2 touchdowns. Told you guys he would be the key to this. And then Julian Hill, Malik Washington, Devon Achane. Dodson got a sack. Rasul Douglas got a sack. Sealer had a couple good tackles for losses. And, yeah, that's pretty much the game. First, what I want to talk about is, unfortunately, it's time for Waddle to put on his big boy pants now. I think this is kind of where we're at right now. Tyreek Hill is going to be gone for a little bit, and we need Waddle to step up. We need Waddle to be that number one that we all thought that he could be, because this is his offense now. You know what I'm saying? Like this is it. Tyreek Hill's out. Darren Waller just got back. He's going to be a key part, for sure. But Waddle has to step up and become the number one guy. This is kind of what we were leaning towards next season. And it's just, unfortunately, it's happening now because Tyreek Hill, just a really bad injury. Jalen Waddle looked good. He looked good. But, yeah, I mean, he has to be the dude now. Darren Waller, told you guys, like, it just gives a different dynamic to the offense, and I think we saw it there with Darren Waller. And this is just the first week that he was practicing. He's going to get more involved, especially now. He's going to get more involved in the offense because we need him to. We don't have anybody else at this point. I like Malik Washington, and we saw Westbrook-Akine on some plays. But yeah, he's going to get more involved in the offense because we need him to be a key weapon in this offense. We'll start, basically I'm going to keep talking about the offense and then we'll go into the defense. Devon Achane's a stud. Like, there's no other way to put it around it. Ollie Gordon and Devon Achane are going to be studs. It's going to be similar to what we had, that Mostert, Achane punch, but Achane's the lead guy. He's just amazing. Some of the cuts, sorry guys, some of the cuts that I see him make are just incredible. Like, they're so good, and he is really hard to bring down. Now, he had that fumble that was very scary at the end, but I don't know how he does it. He's small, but he seems to just run people over. And then Ollie Gordon, on top of that, he had that really good run that just gave you that boost of energy because he was pretty much tackled at the back of the line of scrimmage, and he just kept fighting forward, and then he finally got like 4 yards, but it felt like he pushed the whole entire offense on that play. Tua, he looked good. He looked good. He looked efficient. There was one play where, it was at the end of the game where he overthrew Darren Waller, and it's like, you got to hit those throws. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to hit him because if you hit him, that game is over. We don't even get to this point because he's running down the field for like 20 yards. And like I said, Waddle played really good. He played really good. It's just now the offense needs to shift a little more into making him into the Tyreek Hill role versus, the Jalen Waddle role, which is like a possession guy. He needs to be more of that sprinter, down the field and all that. So that's the offense. The offense looked pretty good. It looked kind of like picked back up from, last game against Buffalo, but I was pretty happy with it. I thought they did a really good job defensively. Still nervous, Oh, and offensive line didn't look bad. There were some moments. I think they put in Cole Strange, he seemed to do much better than either one of the other two. Larry Borum is doing all right. Like, he's not really doing bad. Like, he had decent protection. You know what I'm saying? So I think the offensive line looks all right, and then eventually, hopefully, we can come with a couple of wins, and then get Austin Jackson and James Daniels back eventually. Defensively, though, Jordan Brooks was tackling everywhere. He had 15 tackles this game. 15 tackles by Jordan Brooks. 15. I don't think I've ever seen that before. 15 tackles by Jordan Brooks. Now, still, Sealer made a couple of plays. But the one thing that I did see is that even still, the four-man rush was still kind of struggling. It really wasn't getting to the quarterback. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on, because it's like, on paper, like, these guys should be getting to the quarterback, and they're just not. Because, again, we have to reiterate that we played the Jets. It's not like we played an all-star team. The defensive scheme looked a lot better. But still, I really want to see these guys start hitting home with the four-man rush. Like, they're just not getting there. They have to blitz in order to get pressure, and it's just Minka Fitzpatrick was looking a lot more in lead of the offense. I like that a lot. Rasul Douglas, man, I know he had that one catch on him that was just an incredible catch by Garrett Wilson, but he looks like a really good pickup this offseason. He looks like he's manning the number one corner scheme. And, eventually, hopefully, we'll get Storm Duck back. What else? Dodson look all right. Chubb, he got close. Chop got close a lot more, I think, this game than anybody. Chop and Jalen Phillips. And, Kenneth Grant kind of said it in the offseason. It's kind of showing up now. Now, I don't expect him to be crazy, coming into the season. But Kenneth Grant, I had really high hopes for him. Heard in the offseason wasn't really doing anything. And kind of seeing it in game that he's just really not moving the ball. He's not pushing anything forward. He's just really just not making an impact on the game, which, is very unfortunate. I really thought he was going to be something. Now, hopefully he can get it on. Chop was the same way in last season, and then around like week 12, Chop started coming on. So hopefully the same thing happens with Kenneth Grant, but very underwhelming from Kenneth Grant this year. Jordan Phillips, by all stretch of the means, is outplaying Kenneth Grant in this defense. But they looked a little bit better, if not for a crazy catch by Garrett Wilson over Rasul Douglas, which, like, 99% of the receivers, they dropped that. Like, he had his hand right on the ball. And then just a completely blown run by Justin Fields. Defense played good. It was bend but don't break type defense. And, Anthony Weaver was calling some good plays, and we definitely got to them a little bit. We were fortunate with a lot of penalties on them, and that's something that I really, again, the defense, it still scares me, because we were fortunate to catch some of these penalties, because if not, they were moving the ball on us. A lot of the time, their penalties stalled them out more than we kind of stalled them out. So, still a little bit worrisome. I don't know. I don't know who you can get or what you can do, but it's just, defense still scares me. I think Anthony Weaver called a bunch of good plays, but defense still scares me. And kind of to wrap this up, in order for this season to turn around, the Tua and Waddle connection has to has to ignite, man. Like it's time. That's what I want to kind of finish this with. Is it's time for Tua and Waddle to really go back to their Alabama days. It's time for them to be on the same page with everything. It's time to stop running Jalen Waddle as like a 6'4" blocking tight end and start letting him run routes that allow him to use his speed. You know what I'm saying? We saw that a lot when Tyreek Hill left, as he was allowed to use his speed a little more. We need to see a lot more of that, man. I don't know why they continually use him as a possession guy instead of like a speedster. Like he's probably like a hair slower, like a smidge slower than Tyreek Hill. Need to see him step up. Good win, but a lot more that we need to work on, and we'll see how it goes. You know, we got a winnable game coming up this weekend. We have to prepare for it, and if we win, you know, coming into this weekend, we have some momentum. You know, so as always, guys, praise God, love God. I'm gonna go to sleep. Love you all. Fins up, baby. Peace.